Some people repeat affirmations every day, picture the perfect scene before falling asleep, feel grateful, and yet nothing in their life actually changes. So the question pops up, why hasn't it manifested yet? The most honest answer: it's not what you think. It's not about time, karma, or even worthiness. What blocks manifestation is more subtle, more invisible, and that's exactly why it's so dangerous. And the craziest part, it's happening every day without you even noticing, until now. The real blockage isn't out there. It's in what you feel when no one's watching. It's in the tiny internal reactions, the way you see yourself, the automatic patterns that keep repeating the old you. Manifestation doesn't fail because of lack of effort. It fails because you're not really stepping into the state of already having it. And maybe, just maybe, you're starting to realize how often you've fallen into that trap, thinking you were doing everything right, when in reality, you were still operating from lack. And most people never learn how to break free from that. So get ready. What you're about to hear isn't motivational fluff, it's transformational truth. We're going to peel back the hidden layers that sabotage your process, call out the sneaky mistakes that quietly cancel everything out, and rebuild your foundation using the principles Neville Goddard taught, with depth, clarity, and real-life application. But listen, only keep going if you're willing to face yourself with courage, because after this, you won't settle for anything less than the life you're meant to manifest. And the best part? You'll finally understand why some people manifest with ease, while others, even trying everything, stay stuck in the same place. Now that you understand where the invisible block really is, let's dive into a subtle pattern that pushes your desires away, even when you think you're aligned. It's super common to hear someone say, "I want to manifest true love," or "I really want to get out of debt," thinking that wanting it badly is enough. But "I want" assumes you still don't have it, and that's the core problem. The universe doesn't respond to wanting, it responds to being. When you vibrate in "I want," you're energetically confirming the absence. And guess what keeps showing up? More of that absence. That's why so many people still ask why they haven't manifested anything, even after trying everything. But here's what almost no one tells you, and what you'll finally get here. The issue isn't the technique, it's the inner state behind it. People often think it's time or lack of money or their crazy schedule that gets in the way of manifestation. But truth is, the biggest block lives inside. It's the resistance to living from the end. Just like Neville Goddard taught, their inner routine doesn't shift. They wake up anxious, go to bed worried, and live with doubt, not realizing that it kills their creative power. And the weirdest part? Most don't even notice they're stuck in that loop. They keep asking, wanting, dreaming, without ever truly tapping into the secret of already being. Imagine an actress who gets a role to play a millionaire. She doesn't show up on set saying, "I want to be rich." She becomes the character. She walks different, talks different, feels different, and that's exactly what's missing in most failed manifestations. Stepping into the role, embodying in your body and soul that you already are who you want to be. That's what the law of assumption is all about. And the more natural that state becomes, the more the outside world starts to shift. But if deep down you're still carrying doubt, well, that opens up another important layer. You know that burning desire that sounds noble but actually feels anxious underneath. Yeah, wanting, no matter how pretty it looks on the surface, is often just hidden lack dressed up as intention. When someone says, "I really want a happy relationship," what's usually behind that is loneliness, emptiness, or comparing themselves to something they don't have. And the universe, sensitive as it is, doesn't respond to words. It responds to the true feeling. If the feeling is lack, then lack is exactly what gets reflected back. This is one of the trickiest traps in the whole manifestation journey. Thinking that wanting a lot equals having strong faith. But honestly, it's more like a thermometer, showing how far you still are from the state of already having it. This is where Neville Goddard's message hits deep. Don't want it, feel it. Because wanting is an act of separation. It's like reaching out to grab something that's not yet yours, and that movement just pushes it further away. That subtle shift between faith and doubt, it usually starts right here. And what about you? How many times have you said, "I really want this," thinking it was enough? Maybe now it's clearer why things haven't moved. Let's look at a practical example. Instead of saying, "I want to earn good money with my work," try owning, "It feels amazing to live a life where my creativity is valued and well paid." See the difference? One speaks from the future, the other from now. Imagination creates reality, but only when paired with inner certainty. And that certainty only comes when you truly step into the identity of already having it. But what if that certainty still doesn't come naturally? Could there be something deeper holding you back? Even when someone's doing all the right things, thinking positive, visualizing clearly, repeating affirmations, if there's an unconscious belief like, "This isn't for me," then all that effort is just a shiny coat of paint over a shaky foundation. Most of those limiting beliefs go way back to childhood. Things like, money is evil, men can't be trusted, or if you want too much, you lose everything. And the worst part? These ideas don't scream, they whisper. They run silently in the background, sabotaging everything. That's why so many people still ask why nothing's manifesting, even when they're doing everything right. A woman might say she wants a healthy relationship, but if she grew up watching constant fights or got cheated on in the past, deep down, she might believe that love equals pain. So what happens? She gets scared when something good shows up, or she finds a way to ruin it without realizing. The mind thinks it's protecting her, but really it's blocking what she wants most. It's like trying to drive full speed with the parking brake still on. That's why your inner routine of assumption also needs to include looking at these old patterns, or else the whole thing stalls out. And those limiting beliefs? They don't announce themselves. They hide in small things, like how you feel when someone else gets what you want, or that quiet voice saying it's not your time yet, but you can spot them. Start asking honest questions like, what do I really believe about this desire? Or what thoughts pop up when I imagine it happening? These answers might feel uncomfortable, but they're freeing, because once this truth clicks, you won't see your life the same way again. Self-awareness is a superpower, and the good news? Once this shift happens, you don't go back. But what if even after uncovering these beliefs, you still struggle to feel the right emotion? You can repeat affirmations 20 times a day, build the perfect vision board, and script your dream life down to the tiniest detail. But if there's no real emotion behind it, it's all just empty ritual. Manifestation doesn't respond to pretty words. It responds to the emotional charge you put into them. Neville Goddard said it best, feeling is the secret. And when he said feeling, he meant the kind that takes over your body like it's happening right now. Without that emotional weight, your imagined scene doesn't have the energy to take form. And this is where so many people hit a wall. The mind pictures it, but the heart doesn't follow. Take someone imagining a new job, but deep down they feel unqualified, afraid of failing, or just unsure they deserve it. So the scene doesn't stick. It doesn't feel real. The law of assumption requires emotional surrender, and that can't be faked. One helpful trick? Think back to a time you felt genuinely grateful, peaceful, or joyful. Then carry that feeling into your imagination. That's what gives texture to your scene. That's what makes it magnetic. Another important thing to know, this isn't about forcing a feeling. If it's not there yet, don't push. It's not about trying harder. It's about gradually shaping your inner state until the feeling flows naturally. That takes repetition, silence, intention. I like to call it rehearsing the future until it becomes the present. And if the feeling hasn't landed yet, that's okay. Just be honest with yourself, because awareness is already a powerful step toward creating a stronger inner field. But what happens when you do start to feel it, and then just as quickly the doubt creeps in? At first, everything feels magical. You're visualizing, feeling it, believing it, and even noticing little signs. Then comes day 2, or 5, or week 2, and that solid faith starts turning into questions like, is this even working? That faith-to-doubt pendulum is like building a sandcastle every morning and watching it collapse by sunset. And the thing is, this usually happens so subtly you don't even notice it. You just feel discouraged and ask yourself again, why isn't this showing up? This loop is super common, and honestly, kind of expected. We've all been trained to trust only what we can see, but manifestation flips that script. You have to live from the end, even when your reality still shows the old version. That's the real discipline. What's interesting is that the beginning of the process usually comes with a rush of excitement, but what actually carries you through is emotional consistency. Faith here isn't about a hype moment. It's about staying grounded in your new state, even when everything outside tries to drag you back to the old one. A powerful tool for those moments is something I call emotional check-in. Sit down, take a breath, and ask yourself honestly, am I feeling from certainty or from lack right now? If it's lack, no judgment. Just return to the scene. Replay it. Re-feel it. The inner routine of assumption is like building a muscle. Lifting once won't get you strong. It's the repetition that locks it in. But holding steady is a lot harder when it looks like everyone else is moving ahead, except you. So let's talk about what makes that even worse, and how to stop it from messing with your state. Let's talk about a silent villain, one that looks harmless, but sabotages the manifestation of thousands of people every single day. Nothing wrecks your alignment faster than that innocent scroll through Instagram that turns into a full-on self-sabotage session. You see someone living exactly what you're trying to manifest, the dream job, the perfect relationship, the movie-like life. And suddenly the question hits, what do they have that I don't? And just like that, comparison creeps in, and your inner certainty starts falling apart. The energy that should be fueling your assumption gets drained. That quiet comparison installs an invisible virus, inferiority. It's like someone else's success becomes proof of your failure. But here's the truth. It's not them that weakens you. It's how you interpret what you're seeing. When someone else manifests something and it stings, it means limiting beliefs are screaming beneath the surface. Maybe there's a voice saying, that never happens for people like me, or this kind of life just isn't in my cards. And now you see why your desire hasn't shown up, even if you want it with all your heart. The antidote: selective gratitude. Instead of comparing, use what you see as a reminder that it's possible. If it showed up in my awareness, it's because it's in my field. Turn jealousy into insight, and if it's too hard, take a break from social media. Seriously, use that silence to reconnect with your own creative power. Imagination creates reality, but only if you're focused on your own script, not someone else's storyline. Because the moment you start trying to control the external, you fall into another trap that blocks everything. Some people visualize, feel it, believe it, and then immediately start checking the calendar and the clock like they're waiting for an Amazon delivery. Will it happen through that job? Maybe that person is the one? Maybe it'll show up tomorrow? That's classic attachment to the how, and even if it's dressed up as hope, it's really just control covered in anxiety. And anxiety reveals what? That you're not fully assuming, that you haven't let go, that you don't trust the process, or the law of assumption. The rational mind loves making plans, predicting, calculating outcomes, but manifestation doesn't work through logic. It flows through vibration. The more you try to control how it happens, the more you step out of the creator state. It's like planting a seed and digging it up every day to see if it sprouted. Real manifestation demands silence, trust, and inner steadiness. The universe already knows how to deliver. It sees paths you could never think of, and the most powerful how often shows up through the least expected door when you finally let go. A powerful practice here is creative surrender. After visualizing and feeling it real, say to yourself, I release the how and I trust the outcome. Sounds simple, right? But it's actually profound, because your job is to manage your inner state. The rest will follow. And here's the kicker. This surrender becomes real when you build a new habit, revisiting your assumed state every single day, like watering a garden. And that brings us to the next big key in the process. Most people visualize once, feel a burst of excitement, and never go back to that scene again. But manifestation is a daily practice. You can't just imagine it one time and expect a miracle. You need to revisit it, reignite it, relive it every day. Because your mind has a short memory, and the outside world keeps trying to pull you back into your old state. If you don't keep feeding the new, the old creeps back in. And that's one of the biggest reasons people still ask why nothing's showing up. The state just fades into the background. Think of it like an actor rehearsing for a role. They don't go on stage after one practice. They repeat, refine, embody it again and again. Your inner routine of assumption works the same way. It's a daily emotional decision. You wake up and remind yourself who you already are. Before bed, you reinforce that internal identity, not to convince the universe, but to convince yourself, until it becomes second nature. And identity is what manifests, not a loose idea, not a fleeting feeling. A powerful habit for this is what I call the nighttime reliving. Before you fall asleep, close your eyes and feel the scene as if it's already happening. Feel the details, the sounds, the smells, the touch. And if you want to anchor it deeper, write down a sentence like it's a journal entry from the future. Today was another amazing day in the life I always dreamed of. Sounds simple. It is, but it works. Still, even with this practice in place, sometimes the outer world stays quiet. So how do you handle that silence? The most delicate phase of manifestation isn't the beginning or the peak excitement, it's the middle, when everything feels stuck. No signs, no shifts, no proof. This is when a lot of people give up, not because it didn't work, but because doubt took over. It's like the old self whispers, "See, nothing's changing." And if you don't understand what's happening, you panic. You start questioning your method, trying a new technique, watching another video, and just like that, you break the state. But here's what that silence really is. It's a test of your inner solidity. It's like the universe asking, did you really assume this new state? Or were you just chasing results? This is where emotional persistence is born. Even when the world looks exactly the same, your heart stays locked into the end result. Because by now, it's not the outside world that guides you. It's your inner conviction. And that takes spiritual maturity. It's not about seeing to believe. It's about feeling until the seeing happens. A great practice during this phase is to track small signs, no matter how tiny they seem. A symbolic dream, a number that keeps showing up, a random opportunity that appears out of nowhere. These things help keep your faith alive. And more than that, this is the moment when you start building your spiritual muscles. The ones who learn to walk confidently in the dark are the ones who manifest with mastery. Because this is when the desire gets close, when you've already proven that you know how to live like it's done. Manifestation isn't an event, it's a lifestyle. And living like you already have it, that changes everything. Manifestation isn't about waiting for the universe to act. It's about sustaining the inner state of already having, with grace and steadiness, even when the outer world keeps showing the opposite. It's not magic, it's repetition. It's you, living from the scene as if it were real, until the outside has no choice but to reflect it. The law of assumption doesn't reward people who dream pretty dreams. It responds to those who live from the end, who hold the state, who don't trade certainty for temporary appearances. It's just like an actor who gets so deep into the role that they start to believe it's who they really are. You start to act, speak, feel, and think like the person who already lives that life you're calling in. Not pretending, but living from internal conviction. And that conviction shifts everything. It attracts chances, inspires bold moves, upgrades your body language. People who live in the end, they walk differently, and the universe feels that. Yes, imagination creates reality, but it's the persistence in feeling that gives it the final push. Maybe right now, you're remembering all the times you felt exactly like that. You felt like you were doing everything right, but the world didn't move. You felt aligned, but nothing responded. And let me tell you, and that's more common than you think, but it's also something you can shift. So if the external hasn't changed yet, ask yourself this: how often am I actually practicing I already have it? Because that practice is what reprograms your identity, and identity determines your reality. When imagination becomes a habit, the miraculous becomes normal, and everything starts lining up with your new internal state. The secret: keep going until it feels natural. And once it does, something wild happens. You stop needing the thing to show up because you feel full already. And it's right there in that moment of emotional fullness that the world finally bends. Not because you forced it, but because you became it. Now tell me, after all this, do you still believe it's just about repeating a few affirmations and waiting around? Manifestation is an internal, daily, silent construction. It's not about worthiness, luck, or magic formulas. It's about stepping into a new state of being, especially when the outside world tries to shake you. So let me ask you honestly, are you living like someone who already has it? Or are you still reacting like someone waiting for it to happen? If something in this content stirred something inside you, good. That was the point. You're being called to level up. And leveling up hurts sometimes. It stretches you, it feels uncomfortable, but it also sets you free. So now I want to hear from you. Which part of this truth hit you the hardest? Which insight made you realize where your real turning point is? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm reading each one. And of course, if you want to keep diving deep into this path, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications, and join us on this journey of transformation through Neville Goddard's teachings. Because yes, feeling is the secret, but applying is what changes everything.